Welcome to the KYN podcast. Today, we're joined by an amazing youth who is in the education space. Ashwathy has developed a wealth of experience, especially with the current century, the 21st century learning. We want to get to know exactly how she's doing it, what inspired her to get in that space, and then we want to know everything about this space that you are in, Ashwathy. So welcome to the KYN podcast. Why don't you start by introducing yourself?
Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you so much for inviting and having me in your podcast. I'm enjoying this. So I am Ashwathy Venugopal, a Kectil youth colleague from the 2018-2019 cohort. I would say Kectil is a space that actually changed my life. If you should know about my life story or what I'm doing currently, then you should know about the impact that Kectil is doing for youth around the world. I was having a pretty normal Indian, an average Indian student's life going on until 2018. When I got to know about Kectil and the leadership network. I had really no expectations when I applied for the program. I was completing all assignments, having a very low-key interaction with the cohort members, but still just getting by. But in 2019, when we were invited to come for the Atlanta conference, that is when things changed for me. This was the first international program, the first leadership program, and that too a program where I got to network with young people. And for the very first time, I found myself a little challenged as well as pushed outside my comfort zone.
Yes.
When we came to Atlanta, I saw there were like many young people from around the world who were just like me, who did not look anything like me, but they still had that young spirit in them, and I felt they were all going to do something in their life. They're already doing something in their life.
Wow.
But here I was, who was leading like a very normal career and making all the right choices that everyone expects a young person to be doing. But I did not see there was any stellar, change that was going to come in my life in the coming 5 or 10 years. I wanted to change that narrative. So coming back after the Atlanta conference, I had actually done something drastic when I came to Atlanta. I had dropped my job because I couldn't get a leave for the 1 week conference. So I was already very confident that I really had nowhere else to go. So when I came back, I was interacting with many parents and children and young people regarding Atlanta's conference, Kectil's network, and talking about my story over there. A question was posed to me. A parent, a lady asked me, "You had studied in India, Kerala. I'm from Kerala, the southernmost part of India. You had studied all your life in this part of the country. You have worked in almost a very average company, which my kid can also get into. But you did something that is not expected out of my child, that is get into such a leadership program, be a representative of the country and go for an international youth network, a leadership program. If you can do that, probably my child can too. But how do I make sure that my child gets there? How do I make sure that my child becomes like you?" This was a very resounding question because up until Kectil, I never knew such programs existed. I never knew there were such opportunities that young people could utilize. And this kind of made me think, if I know about such programs like Kectil now, why don't I let other people also know about it? That was the beginning of my venture called Avasarshala. So in almost all Indian languages, Avasar means opportunity and Shala means hub. And Avasarshala was kind of like a hub of opportunities. We started out by helping school kids as well as young people above age of 18. But we, being a very small firm and being a very small team, we thought we should actually help people where they should create that foundational, change in the foundation rather than help an 18 plus age group. Because they're able to help themselves. Only the under 18 population is still not very sure about which direction they have to go. So we are starting out there. We are helping school kids, that is the K-12 segment, 1 to 12. helping them connect with opportunities, get themselves ready and prepared to face the world. And when such opportunities like Kectil comes knocking on their door, they should be ready to grab it and make the best of it.
They should be ready. Wow.
Yes.
So I think we've gotten a good intro of how you ended up in this space and what inspired you actually to start this journey. But we want to get to know now about you as Ashwathy. Why don't you take us back in time and tell us about your childhood and how you grew up?
Thanks. Okay. So as I said, a very Indian, very average Indian life. We like to call ourselves middle class, but in a very recent podcast, again, I came to know that this term middle class in India does not actually stand for what we used to believe. So we are in the upper middle class and the privileged segment, but still we call ourselves a middle class family. So that's an Indian joke. Okay. So I am the only girl child from a very average Indian family. And if anybody knows about the education system in India, as well as the population things of aspect of India, it is it is a good thing to be a single girl child in India. You're given lavished with lots of scholarships and many reservations, etc., which people should utilize. But in my family, they believe that I could get by with the merit of my studies as well as my hard work. I really did not need to utilize such scholarships allotted by the government because they understood that we were upper middle class and not as middle class as I believed us to be. So we were better privileged than most of the families in India. So they opted out of choosing any such scholarships or any such financial assistance and aids from the government. I used to feel it is very unfair of them to stop me from getting into such scholarships. But now I understand that many people need it. So again, when I'm working with the the scholarships, leadership programs, and that segment, I understand that it is important for allotting or getting those kind of opportunities to people who actually need it. Yeah. So so I think that is a kind of bringing up that I had, be resourceful, be grow up within the things that I have, and make most of whatever privileges and opportunities that has been presented to you by virtue of your parents' hard work or the system that you're born into. So I guess that's the value that I still have. And as a business person now, it is very useful because it's not always that we are able to, there are times that we have to just tide by, and being this resourceful person, I am able to do that.
Yeah.
So coming back to my childhood, all my education was done in my hometown, Kerala, a very green part of India. We call it God's own country because it is that green. And my education, higher education, I did my engineering as well as my master's in business, MBA, all from Kerala. I did have, corporate jobs that was outside Kerala in places like Hyderabad and Jaipur in Rajasthan, that's northern part of India. So I had to travel around the country quite a lot for my job. But yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it.
Oh, wow. So why don't you give us a background of how your family is? Was your family involved in business, or what inspired you to get this entrepreneurship fire within you?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say a business family, but my dad is a business person, and I guess he's the only one who was into business in my very close family network. Rest of the people in my family either have a job or they are into government service, etc. And my mom is a homemaker, a person with really high potential who was underutilized, if I would say. But I can still see her busy with things that she's passionate about. She's a person who has 2 communities that she has built and runs. So I think, I have a lot to study from her. But when it comes to the business aspects, yes, I grew up looking at my dad, handling a business on his own, a very small one, but still he was able to build it from ground up. So business sense, I picked up from him. But the line of work that I'm in is completely different from his. Oh, wow. So I guess I'm relearning a lot of basics. But what has helped me, being from a family who already had run a business, is that we will have months when there is nothing, that it's tight, financially tight months, and those months which we are able to have a dine out on Saturday evening and be very happy about it. So those kind of simple pleasures of life makes a huge, it's a very huge part of our life when it comes to being from a business family. It's not always that you get those kind of small pleasures, and so that's one important thing that all people who have a business or who have been brought up in a business family start appreciating. I'm also married, so my husband, both of us are running Avasarshala together now. We are co-founders.
Wow.
And he is a person who had been bit by the entrepreneurial bug even before we had met. So I guess he is also one person who inspires the entrepreneurship fire in me.
Yes. Nice, amazing. So it's all now in the lineage and continuing with the new generation. That's good. Yes. That's a good background on how you got that business fire and acumen in you. We want to get to know now about your career trajectory and your education, and how that has influenced starting of the organization that you run.
Definitely. So I am an engineering graduate, and my first job, I got into my first job right after my engineering. It was a campus placement, and I was placed as a software developer in a US-based company based in Hyderabad, India. And it was really good initially for me because I was a fairly passionate student when it came to engineering and computer science. But when I got the job, it was entirely different from what the syllabus had taught me. And I had a little bit of difficulty adjusting and fitting into the software developer's role. I soon realized I'm not a person who sits in code all day. But I kind of learned it the hard way.
Your personality doesn't allow for code, but you adapted.
So I got my priorities a little mixed up too. Like there were a lot of operations job. It was supposed to be handled by other people, but I was always getting myself mixed up in work that was not my responsibility. And finally, somebody reminded me that, see, you're not doing your job, you're doing somebody else's job, and maybe just you can leave. So I kind of had that very bad start to a career. Then I came back, I contemplated a lot, and then realized maybe operations, because I've been doing a lot of job which should be in the operations management floor. It's the third floor, and I was sitting and working in the sixth floor, and I was always thinking about the third floor. So I came back and did my MBA so that I can actually go to the third floor. So with that in mind, I got my job at Amazon, which was one of the best part of my career in a corporate stint. Very busy life, but I got placed as an operations team manager. A job which I enjoyed so much because there was so many people energy. I was managing like a team of 20, and many crises that happens every day. There was so much drama. So I loved the job. But then Kectil happened, and I had to take the call. So Amazon came to an end when Kectil started.
Wow. Wow, that was a tight leap of faith right there.
Yeah, that kind of shocked Cherie when I, told her that I left my job, and it's just that my, notice period ended 2 days before I flew into Atlanta. So yeah, I took the call. I was, young and you only live once attitude.
Yes, YOLO.
Did that, So so that's my career in corporate stint. After Atlanta happened, I came back and I started my company, Avasarshala. So I am into education and ed tech or skill tech industry for almost 2 years now as an entrepreneur. Exactly 2 years, if I would say that way. And I'm enjoying it. I'm learning a lot, although only the tech part comes from my curriculum and pedagogy that I had until now. I'm learning so many things. And I realized that building something like from ground up, setting a lot of regulations and hiring people, creating a culture, all this is in my capacity. I never realized I was able to do all this, and I'm very happy in the role right now.
You have a bit of human resource acumen that you've developed.
I'm a mix of everything. I need people energy. I drive, I take energy from people.
Nice. So about your organization, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce it well. Avasarshala WizKids.
Avasarshala.
Yes.
Avasarshala. Give a pause after Avasar.
After Ava. Oh, yeah. So tell us how
Yeah.
the launch went, and what exactly impact have you had across the globe with the launch of the business?
Yes. So Avasarshala is a social enterprise. It's a for-profit company, but it's a social enterprise. And this, when I started Avasarshala, I never even knew the definition of this word called social entrepreneurship. But now I know. Anyway, I did not know I was getting into social entrepreneurship at that time. But all my focus was impacting young people, because even when I was there in Atlanta, when we had a discussion and meet and greet with Martin Luther King III, he had asked me this question, like, what would you do when you go back as a young person? He had asked all of us that question, right? So it was directed at me because I had asked him a question. I said, maybe I'll go back and impact like 6 people a year. So that was my very vague answer. But I thought that was a very, I did not know I could even impact 6 people when I come back. Because I was living a life where it was just me, my family, and that's it, nothing more than that. But when I started Avasarshala, our focus was to help children connect with opportunities like Kectil or even scholarships, or if they're interested in sports, how do we get them into international avenues where they can utilize their skills? How would we do that effectively? That was it. So we did not even put a cost to the service that we were putting out for the parents and children. But soon we realized that if this service doesn't come with a cost, most people are just not going to use it properly. So we gave a very, very minimal cost to it, so that they take it seriously, and we only drive in those population which actually values it. This is important for any company that starts out, because the initial set of customers determine our energy, whether we want to keep serving or not. And if they are not responding the way we expect, we might actually get everything wrong about the business and its aspects. So this was a decision we made. We'll be a for-profit company. We will serve people. We will create social impact, but the cost should be borne by any one of the parts, either the parents or the event organizers or whoever is there in the ecosystem. So yes, we are building an ecosystem. We are connecting parents and children with opportunities that would help them grow. Like, for example, there are opportunities like Youth Forum Switzerland. It's a Changemakers project that's happening out of a school in Switzerland. And they're giving this opportunity for Indian students as well. And we are the ones who are bringing this opportunity into India. Until now, it was reserved for people in Europe or even US, but we are able to bring that into India. And we are slowly trying to help and see if we can do the same for children in Middle East as well. Like that's this year's, like a soft goal. Let's see if we are able to impact Middle East as well. There is another program like Earth Foundation. It's out of Switzerland in Geneva. And they are also having a program called Earth Prize Initiative. We are trying to bring that into India as well. So these kind of programs are the ones that we actually look forward to. International exposures that we can give to Indian children and slowly Middle East. But basically, we are having a very small focus right now. On the other side, we will also source opportunities which are available across the world and connect to children according to their age, location, and interest. All regional, national, and international opportunities, so that they utilize those avenues, grow in areas that they are interested in. Like Daniel, I know you are a person who speaks a lot, who is you have that management acumen. Like 5 minutes of conversation with we learn a lot of lessons. But you as a child, as a student, you probably would not have got into programs like a leadership program or a place where you had to run a project on your own. If you don't do that, you never realize that you have these skills up until you are in your 20s or even beyond 25. So we want to change that. We want to, find people like Daniel and mold them before they are 18 so that they make the right career choices before they,
It says someone who should be in coding, but now is in this space. Yes, I get you. That's amazing. So that's how WizKids came about, or WizKids came about much later?
No, that's Avasarshala. So we started off with this opportunity curation, and we soon realized there are two things. One is that it's very, like children, when they are given such opportunities like Kectil or Earth Prize Foundation, not all children get into it, right? Not everybody gets selected, or not everybody wins the first prize. The rest of the children kind of stop trying after a while, or they don't get that instant gratification in the whole system, and they kind of lose out. They just stop trying. So because we saw this trend, we started a small activity series called Whiskets. It's like a challenge series, a very small engagement of 10 days, where we give them a challenge every day, which is based on a 21st century skill. Either they are coding one day, or they're going and cooking the next, or maybe they are making a mask, or drawing a structure like an architectural drawing. So we touch everything, every aspect, and give them a small challenge that they can do at home, so that they don't sit in front of the TV. They disengage at least for 30 to 40 minutes from all digital gadgets and do something on their own. And all this only derives elements from the 21st century skills. After the 10 days, we give them an evaluation on how they have fared and areas that they can improve in. Which is what parents are looking for, but children are looking for the engagement and the fun. So this is run like a community model. The best part is kids learn from other kids. This is not a competition, right? No, so when they put in their work, they also see other peers putting in their efforts, and some children straight away go back and rework on it. And there's a lot of peer learning happening. So this is Whiskets. Now, there is a third program that we are trying to build right now. It's like a leadership curriculum that's called Launch, which is also because when people are applying for programs, when they are applying for scholarships, they always come back and tell us, see, we know that we are interested in these things through Whiskets. We know there are such opportunities through Avasarsshala's opportunity curation platform. But who's preparing us to apply for these programs? Who's preparing us to give in the best essay or a TED style talk, or even be, like when they are applying for a project, how do we do the financial model projections? The problem is when such programs come in, they expect kids to either act like a adult or go and ask a teacher or a parent to help them. But why don't we make them capable of doing it on their own? If they fail, that's fine. But if they are able to do something on their own and then fail, that's gratifying. So that's why we brought together Launch. It's more of like a, like a finishing school, or a space where we are helping them pick up these skills like PowerPoint, creating a good PowerPoint, or even striking a conversation, starting a new, like when they meet somebody, how to introduce themselves, how to give the, like the 30-second self-pitching where people actually, start engaging with them. So those kind of small things that nobody teaches them in school, we are trying to give them in a very concise and fun manner. It's a work in progress. Very, very, very interesting area where we are also learning a lot. So currently a small cohort is going on. And with the learnings, maybe Launch will become a very big thing in the future. So that's all the things that we do at Avasarshala.
All encompassed in one. That is an amazing. And I think it's a big niche. It's kind of like new, and it's going to take over the world by storm. So you've started something. Immediately you capture Middle East, you don't know how fast you'll have to get out of Asia now, move on to another continent. It will just be a rampant change, and it will come with time. So I think those strides are massive. They're massive. So I see you. I listen to you a lot, and I listen to a lot of what you share about with regards to the organization, and you have a focus towards the UN and the SDGs. Why don't you share with us that in climate and how that came about?
So UN SDG goals actually have an encompassing nature. Like no matter what you do, if you are in the social impact space, you are doing something with at least one of the SDG goals. And the more you look at it, you might be actually impacting more than 2 or even 3. So doing an impact-based company, a social enterprise aligned with SDG goals is the best way to have a North Star or a guiding star in the, like to see if we are going in the right direction or not. I have had a lot of mentors in this space. There were companies like Head High. We even had interns coming from London Business School. They were all helping us to set the social impact and the measurement. So inside social entrepreneurial ventures, we have this thing called baseline impact assessment, where we try to see what are the kind of people who we are impacting, who are we impacting, and at what scale, and can we like replicate the same thing in multiple areas. So for example, when I'm doing what I'm doing with Indian students, why I'm trying to see if Middle East is a viable market is not focusing on profits or maybe profits alone. I am also looking at whether I'm able to replicate the same thing with Middle East students. So my hypothesis of social impact when it comes to students should not restrict to just a continent or a country. It should be replicable for students from maybe Africa, South America, or even places like Middle East, Philippines, everywhere. So that's what we're trying to do. With WizKids also, we kind of tried our pilot with 7 countries.
Wow.
And that's not just Middle East. We went to places like even Chile, Canada. We had students coming in from Singapore, Malaysia, one from Australia. So all those cohorts helped us understand so many things, even flaws and gaps that we have to work on when it comes to running a program like WizKids. And what we charge them is some in the scale of Indian rupees, which might not be anything for the students and parents coming from those developed countries. Yeah, but it's all about us testing the hypothesis of social impact that we are proposing. And UN SDG goals helps us do that. Right now, our focus is quality of education, because that covers everything, not just education in school, but also like the self-learning and the progress, personal growth and focus that Avasarshala has for each and every student. So we are mostly like personalizing the experience and trying to scale it to all the students that we are engaging with. Wow. That's why SDG goals has been a big focus for us. And whenever we have a mentor coming on board, or whenever we have a review with people who are focused in social impact, the first thing we do is go and sit and see whether we are working in tandem with SDG goals and start from there. So
nice,
that's the easiest way.
So you've covered the SDG 4, and every global person has to know that if anyone is looking for skills-based learning and setup for the young people at an early age, I think your organization is the right one for that. I think you've captured it perfectly and taking over the world at storm. I thought I was mentioning a joke over there, but you're actually on ground running. Nice. So now let's get back to the theme, the topic for the day. We can just highlight a few areas that covers developing skills beyond education in preparation for life skills for the 21st century. Your organization, Ashwathy, is at the top of it. You're doing amazing work in this space. And I'm sure they've just mentioned about the launch and how the launch is in this context is making amazing strides in that space. I don't know if you want to start sharing any other further steps towards achieving this theme.
Internally, these are the programs that we develop in order to prepare the same student for different aspects. Like if they are not able to figure out their skill focus areas that they need, areas that they have to focus on, then we help them through WizKids. Once they know what they want to focus on, we give them opportunities through our opportunity curation in Avasarshala. And if they need help or when they need to skill up, we are there with launch. And that's just the 3 aspects that we have when it comes to all the programs that we are running in a year. And we are partnering with schools when it comes to WizKids and organizations when it comes to launch, where a group of students, if they want to do it together, then we can do that as well. So this is how we are helping students in multiple focus areas. But when it comes to a student alone, not with the community or not with any of these programs going on, if that person themselves are driven towards, making a change in their scenario, if they want to go beyond what they're just learning and become like somebody that they wish to become, or everyone has role models, right? So how do they become that person, and what was the life journey that they had done in order to become that person? What do I do today in order to become that person? This is what we really need to focus and give them that context. Students usually lack that. So for me, this is most important, whether it comes from parents, whether it comes from teachers, or whether it comes from enablers like us. If we are able to give that perspective to children, like when you are a student, when you are maybe like a 12-year-old or 13-year-old, there are a lot of things that you can do, and it's not just Netflix or gaming. And do not think that your potential is low and that you need to become 18 plus in order to change the world. No, it's easier and it's better if you start young. And not many people actually take that efforts when they are a teenager. And if you are the one who takes that effort when all the other people give priorities to,
having fun.
Having fun. If you're prioritizing your personal growth and the impact for the world when you are a 13-year-old, you will do wonders when it comes to being a 25-year-old. So nice. We try to bring that whenever where there's a conversation with a young person, we try to drive that point home. Yeah.
Shaping the youth.
I think at least some people have started to think that way. Even yesterday, we had a conversation where that person was telling us, she's a girl, and she was telling me, I had ambitions regarding career. I had very particular options that I wanted to work towards. But now that I know that there are people around the world who are, doing much more than just dream, I think I am also capable of doing rather than just sitting and dreaming. And that's exactly what I want to achieve at the end of the day.
Developing the youth for tomorrow today. I can just summarize it as that. Yeah.
Good at that then.
Okay, so you have a keen eye towards the women and the girls, especially when it comes to this space. But doesn't mean you ignore the young boys out there. But your focus is on girls. And why is that the case?
So I was brought up, and all my education, everything was in India. So my context, all that I talk about would be heavily from the Indian context and very, very less from the international context. But at least in India, what I've seen is we give a lot of importance to education. And even for women and girl child, education is important for a family. And it might be just to get a good marriage alliance, because we have the system of arranged marriage going on here, or maybe it's to bring them up as a breadwinner or a co-owner in the family. But priorities of each family is different. But the fact is, women do get access to education. I'm talking about a very large number of privileged families. Okay, I mean, like, there is this whole other segment that does not even get primary education. I'm not going there because that is a different narrative. That's a different ballgame entirely, which is an area that I am not capable of, impacting at my level. Like my knowledge level, I'm not able to impact that segment altogether. But at least with the group that I'm interacting with, what I've seen is women are getting into higher studies. They are pursuing STEM-based education, that is engineering and science, art, etc. And when it comes to global goals, almost 35% of the students who get into STEM-based higher education are women, 35%. But when it comes to India, it is 45%. That's like the highest when it comes to global goals. All right. But still, only like 18% get into jobs that are that have anything to do with their education in STEM, and less than 3% get into higher education, like PhD or pursuing research in the areas that they have studied. So what about the rest of the group? Like if 3% is pursuing, higher studies like PhD or research, what about like the 42% women? Are they just sitting at home? Are they not pursuing careers that has anything to do with their STEM-based education? So this is a question that all of us have to address, because people are getting educated. People are getting access to, science-based education. They have a potential to make a good career out of it. But what is happening there, right? And that is why I'm also focusing on bringing in or rather shifting the focus onto the personal skills that each person has. So if they have taken up a STEM-based education just because their neighbor is doing, let them not do it. Let them pursue something that actually matters. Like after that education, let them be able to take up a career in that area that they learned. If they don't like engineering, let them study something that makes sense to them. And if we have to set that narrative from a childhood itself, we have to show them that these are your skill sets.
No.
You are really, really good at these things. Why don't you find options that can actually align with your skill sets so that you become awesome in whatever you want to do?
Amazing.
And not pursue higher studies that somebody else prescribed for you. That's basically why I try and have conversations with girls to show them that you have access to education. Anything that you want to do is in your reach, but you better do something that makes sense to you, so that tomorrow your career and your life makes sense to you and only you, and not dictated by somebody else. Maybe that's why I have this focus, like, at least that's why I try and see if I can help women to build their career that prescribes to their own interest. I do the same for boys too. Don't get me wrong there, but I try to do the same, but it's easier when it comes to handling young men and boys, because they kind of have a good idea what they want to do, and whatever they end up in, they have all the unlimited choices. Their parents really don't stand, they don't stop them from doing it. If a girl wants to pursue a fellowship in sports, she's probably going to be stopped. If she wants to do something in mechanical engineering, even if she does something in mechanical, she's not going to get a job. So all those things come into play, but it's easier for boys. Just saying easier, I'm not saying it is easiest. It's just easier. That's
got you, Ashwathy. Got you clearly on that one. If I'm a young person and I'm really wanting to get into any space, what would you advise me as a young person to do today?
Today, young person, if you are below 18, try as much as things as you can. Try your hand at everything. And I mean everything when it comes to sports. Go and fail at that relay. If you're drawing an artwork, go publish it and get criticized by people. If you want to write poetry, if you don't know how to rhyme, so be it. Just do it and put it out there. Don't shy away from doing anything, because until we reach the age of 12, 13, until the teenage actually hits, we are invincible, right? Like our parents ask us to go in front of 10 relatives and sing a song. We actually go and do it. But once we are like 12 or 13, somebody asks us to sing a song, we start being bothered whether I really know how to sing. Would they jeer at me? Those kind of questions start coming in. And we stop ourselves from experimenting. I don't want that for a young person. Until you're 18, you have the freedom of trying everything and figuring out where you want to go. Above 18, yes, again, you have the capacity to make mistakes. You have that capacity until you are 100 years old, because human life is all about that, experimenting, failing, and figuring it out eventually. But it'll be easier if you start earlier. And above 18 age group, I always ask people to do something as a venture, because now you're legally able to register a company or even bring together people and, sell a few things, make money or lose money, and, utilize all the grants and all the entrepreneurial ecosystem that is available in a college. And most colleges have that entrepreneurial cell or a place where they can test out their ideas. So I always recommend people to start a company or a small venture in their colleges, bring co-founders from within their classmates, or, get their teachers to be their mentors or sounding board, and try and fail. Nobody's going to know. Because post your college, you will probably end up getting a job, and then it will be very hard for you. The stakes will be a little higher, and it will be very hard for you to, leave that job and go into entrepreneurship.
Wow.
So all the experiments and failure can be safely done without the world even coming to know about it when you are inside your college. That safety net. So these are the few things that you should be doing, which I did not know. I did not do at all. I would really go back and do all these things.
We should both reverse time and go and start afresh with now. Avasarshala.
I don't have regrets regarding my school time. I don't have regrets regarding my school time. I tried everything. No matter what happened, I'll be there at the helm of it. And if I'm not, it actually tears me inside. I was really bad at sports. Only on sports day, people ignored me, and that still pinches me. But when it came to my college, I did everything right, but I never actually discovered that there was an ESL in my college. I did not go and visit the entrepreneurial club that was running in my campus. That's the only regret I have, which I don't want anyone else to repeat.
Okay. I think Ashwathy over here revolutionizing the whole education sector in the 21st century. I want you to just close with some of the major achievements that you have managed to achieve with all this work you have been doing, Ashwathy. I thought this would come last. Why don't you share with us your major achievements as we wrap up?
We started out right before the pandemic when the world did not know that the pandemic was coming in. So that was an idea that we were toying around at the almost towards the end of 2019. We were going around meeting parents and trying to do our market research in a very hands-on style. And suddenly pandemic hit, and we clearly had no idea how long we were stuck at home. So that was a point where either we could have just stopped doing what we were doing because it did not seem viable for us to sit at home and do our market research. But that is when we discovered the potential of a program like WizKids. We launched in a very, like the very beta version during that April in 2020. And we were able to get a phenomenal reach. Like, as I said, 7 countries, almost 1,600 families participated. And it was a huge reach that we could get, and that too organically. And if we could do that in that massive scale during the pandemic, we kind of felt that we are supermen and superwomen and we can do anything. Anything is possible. So it was not just us, but a few other organizations also believed in us at that point. And in 2020, we were one of the top 10 social innovations that was adjudged by the startup ecosystem Bridge for Billions, which is based out of US and Madrid. Wow. They are also social in social startup incubator ecosystem. So we were selected as one of the top 10 social innovations to actually make it through the pandemic in 2020. Also, top 30 most inspiring digital innovations showcased at Parthos Spindle Festival in Netherlands, which is one of the biggest things that we could achieve at that time. I got an award as Eastern Bhumika's Iconic Women of 2020. That too happened in 2020. And towards the end of 2020, there was another big thing. UNDP and Atal Incubation Mission, based in India and South Asia, Southeast Asia. They ran Youth Collab. That's a program where we were one of the top 5 social innovators selected from India. And we also won the People's Choice Award at Youth Collab. So big things happened in 2020, and we are riding on the success in 2021. And trying to build a business as well as increase our social impact, because that's what we are, a social impact company first, and trying to work with young people. Creating young adults.
Yes, at Youth for Tomorrow today. Yes. We've had it. Wow.
Thanks for the tagline, Daniel. I'm stealing that.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Ashwathy, for joining us today in this episode of KYN. We are glad to have had you to listen to your journey in revolutionizing the 21st century learning, beginning with the young people and changing their mindset as early as possible. I think that is a life-changing testimony that you have right there, and you're doing amazing things. I'll post the links right at the bottom of the page for everyone to just log in and see what you're doing, read more about the club, about the launch, about everything you're doing in your space and how they can get involved and contribute towards SDG 2 of quality education. So definitely thank you very much, and we are glad to have you at the KYN podcast. For those who just heard, the Kectil program had quite a significant impact in the career choice that Ashwathy has right now. So we are closing applications soon. You better close up with applying as soon as possible for Kectil. The next cohort is ongoing till 15th of November. So everyone there who is interested, I guess this is one of the most inspiring conversations that you will have and motivations for you to complete that application and get it done. So thank you very much, and thank you all for tuning in to the KYN podcast.